Hi everyone, welcome to Babies with Knives. I'm your hostess Alice Peng, and with me is my ever-present co-host Brandon Powers. Hey Brandon,
Howdy, howdy.
how
How's
you
it going?
doing? I'm recovering from my cold, but I'm well enough to do this. Uh, Tonight we're going to be doing Trudvang Chronicles Character Creation. This is a game that was released in Sweden in 1982 and hasn't had an English translation until last year. 2000, sorry, not last year, 2017 is the anticipated game year. Brandon's going to be walking us through how to create the character.
Um, Once again, clearing my throat as soon as we start. I think I'm just cursed. So I think Alice has got the character sheet up on her computer right now,
Showing up here,
and
yes.
and so you can see that the game breaks down into four large areas. Right in the middle, running down in an interlaced pattern, is going to be your character's stats. These are going to range from -4 to +4. Then all around that are skills, which are the highlighted banner areas, and then disciplines being the bold text below that, and specialties below that. Um, Go ahead.
I did forget to mention this is a fantasy genre game built with the Scandinavian background.
Very true. Um, So your character is going to, for how dice work, it's a D20 based game, but it's not like Dungeons and Dragons D20 or similars where you roll a D20 and add. Instead, you take your, let's say, agility. That's the first of these skills, and whatever your skill rank in it is. So let's say it's somewhere. It's going to be somewhere between 1 and 10, and that's going to set your initial target number for an activity. If you are trying to ride your horse, you go down to the horsemanship discipline and then the riding specialty of it, and add whatever modifiers you've got in that. Then you roll your d20. You want to hit that number or under. The A 1 is always a success. A 20 is always a loss for you. The damage rolls are going to be D10 based, and they're going to be open rolls like Shadowrun 1st through 3rd edition, where if you roll the top number, or for certain weapons a slightly lower number, your die will get to roll again, and so you can come up with truly tremendous damage. That's a quick look at how the system works. Let's go ahead and start on our character creation. We're going to be starting with beginning characters, and this is an entirely point-based character creation other than 1d6 roll. So the first thing that we are going to do is identify the points by the GM. The next thing is we're going to pick our races and our cultures. So the races that you can be in this game are humans, elves, and dwarves, or versions of those mated with trolls.
What is the presumption of the points that the GM is giving us in today's exercise, Brandon?
300.
Wonderful.
And each of these races has a subrace. Alice, what are you interested in playing?
I am interested in playing an ogre.
Okay, that is a subtype of human. It is an ogre that has mated with a human, and so you're basically this big, dumb-looking human.
And people think that I automatically, out of racism, tend to think I'm dumb, but I am going to be smarter than the average ogre.
There you go, and that's an important thing. This game, race has very minimal impact into what your character does. It's going to, the bigger that you are, the more body points that you're going to get, basically hit point type things. And the smaller that you are, the slower you will move. So dwarves are going to have good body because they're, kind of hefty, but they're going to be slow because they're short. I should have said shorter than you are. Trolls, on the other hand, are going to have excellent body and excellent movement. But there's no statistic modifiers. There is also no infravision or anything like that that you get based on your race. The type of dwarf that I am going with is and pardon my pronunciation here, but the Bjornica. There we go. And those are basically similar to your standard mountain or hill dwarves. There's also the deep dwarves or the Zvorda, which are the dwarf trolls. So Alice is also going to have to pick a culture for her human side. For me, it's already picked by being a dwarf. And Alice, there's Stormlander, Midlander, Varan, and Wild Folk. I think that you were talking
I'm
about being
choosing
interested in
Midlander.
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 And these are people who really believe in honor and are kind of a warrior type people.
Mm-hmm.
So to go ahead and get us out of the way on some of the basics, they have a chart in the book that gives you the average heights and weights of your race. So Midlander, the average height. Oh, sorry, not Midlander. You're an Ogro.
Agra.
The average height is 2.2 meters. So
I'm
that's
going with
like
2.4, so I'm on the taller side.
Gotcha. So you're probably breaking 7 foot. You're definitely breaking 7 foot at 2.4.
Sounds good to
Um,
me.
and this is for a male. Alice said that she was playing
Yes,
that.
I am
And
playing a male named Bowden.
145 kilograms, which multiply that by 2.2, so you're looking at 290, and then take 20% of that. So a little under 250 is where it is in pounds.
Okay.
So
And for weapon hand, I'm going to choose my hand, which is left. This way it is easier to remember when I am playing which hand is my dominant hand. My hand is the dominant hand, left. And for age,
for
I'm going to choose mature, which I believe for an Ogro starts around 23 or 24. Is that correct?
half trolls, mature 16 to 22.
I Okay, for an Ogro? Okay. So
Yes.
22.
Middle age starts at 23 to 40.
I'm going to go with 24. Middle
Okay.
age. That sounds good to me.
And what's the concept that you're working with on the character?
I am going with, like I said, an Ogro who looks, you know, dumber than he actually is, and he's actually going to be well studied, and he's going to be very much surprising people because he looks like a big dumb brute. He fights pretty well, so he can fight like a big dumb brute, and then when people don't expect him to, he's able to pull out information and knowledge and actually be smart. So for the archetype, I'm going to choose to be a bard.
You're getting a little ahead of me because I
I
didn't get to pick
apologize.
any of my stuff.
I apologize.
Or talk about my concept. I'm going to go with a dwarf that's kind of a big rowdy fighter. He might not be the absolute strongest there is, but he's pretty strong. He's pretty tough, and he's ready to get his hands dirty in a fight. Probably even is quite willing to start that fight at times. In addition to that, he works as a trader, moving around in the human lands and selling wares. That's how he day to day survives. Maybe the two of us know each other and traveling together. The assumption in the game, what they say for what your hero's motivation is in this really brief sentence, is get rich. It's an early fantasy world. There's not like huge castles or anything like that. It's more that there's wilderness everywhere and that you're kind of trying to survive in that landscape.
And because of that, we don't even start with worrying about gear. The GM will tell us what gear we start with, what we have access to, but weapons and gear, we don't. We don't worry about that. We just build who we are.
Yeah. So for me, I'm looking for a younger guy, just kind of starting out, and so the last year in young for dwarves is 25. So I'm going to go with that. For height, 1.35 meters. Let's go with 1.5 meters and make him big. And 80 kilograms. Let's move that up to 90 kilograms.
Cool.
I'm similarly left-handed as Alice is, and so I'm going to pick left for my hand. Alice could make a decision on religion at this point. Dwarves, if you're religious, there's one default for dwarves. There's one default for elves. Humans get 4 different types.
I don't really remember which of the ones do what on the religion, so I didn't pick one yet.
Gotcha. All right. The next step that we are supposed to work on.
What is my mother tongue? As a
your mother tongue would be the Midlander language.
Right.
I saw it a few minutes ago. I am not certain of it off the top of my head. My mother tongue is going to be Dwarvish, and so I am actually looking at taking points to be able to speak in a different language. We cannot read unless we start taking points in reading and writing.
Okay.
So, the stats in the game, or the traits as they call them, are charisma. This does a lot of the normal things charisma does. It makes certain skills cheaper, entertainment and tradesman skills cheaper, and it also gets you extra. The closest thing would be like hero points, and this is like your ability to manipulate fate a little bit to save yourself. But once they're gone, they're gone. It's not like Mutants and Masterminds or a lot of other games that you start with every session with one. The next is Constitution. That's being tough, having hit points, and healing quickly. Dexterity, moving quick, reacting quickly, and it cheapens the agility skills by a little bit. Intelligence is being smart, and it cheapens a lot of different skills. Vintner Craft, which is going to be closest to your D&D style magic user. Knowledge, which is just being smart. And Faith, which is going to be your religious type magics. There's Perception, which is going to give you your situational bonus. And then there is, it cheapens things that Perception or Wisdom is common for in a lot of gaming. Psyche is going to give you that situation bonus. It's going to allow you to survive in the wild, give you modifiers against terror, and it's going to cheapen some things that are about traveling. And then the last one that we've got is Strength. You're going to hit harder, and you're going to have more hit points because of strength. I'm looking at going +2 con, +2 strength, and -1 intelligence. I've taken in my, even though I'm pretty young for a dwarf, I've gotten into too many fights, and I've taken some beats to the head. What about you, Alice?
For me, I am going to be going with a 4 strength. I'm going to go with a 2 intelligence because I am quite intelligent. 0 being, base intelligence.
Yeah.
Charisma of 2. A dexterity of -1. And a con of +1. And that's going to be a total of 120 points.
Each plus, we start at 0 in all 7 stats. Each plus that we get, so +1, +2, or +4, take that and multiply it by 15. And then if you start buying negative stats, as Alice and I have both done for something, you get 15 points back per plus that is.
Per what? Per neg, yep.
Or, yeah, sorry, per neg. Yes, that would be English. So I spent 45 points on my stats. I blew 60, but got 15 back.
Awesome.
All right, the next aspect that we are going to want to pick is our archetype, which the closest thing is going to be a class in another game, but it's not near as restrictive as that. It's only going to give you some bonus points to invest in certain skills. So there's bards, which can invest in entertainment and knowledge. There's dimwalkers, that is faith. Once again, that's kind of clerical magic and knowledge. Dwellers is care and knowledge, and these people are going to basically be the villagers. Is that kind of the background that you're coming from? That you have, you either make stuff or you're trader healing herbs and poisons, that kind of stuff. There's rangers, which is knowledge in wilderness. Rogues is knowledge in shadow arts. Vintner, weaver. I always want to say vintner. And it's knowledge and Vintner Craft, which is the magic user style magic. And last one is warrior, which is going to be fighting and knowledge. And that's where I'm going to end up, is a warrior.
I am going to end up at bard, as I mentioned.
Okay. So we get those 300 build points that we've already spent some on our traits, and then we get an additional 50 points to spend.
Wait. Knowledge and
entertainment is bard.
Yeah. I didn't actually buy anything in entertainment, really, so I'm wondering if there's something that would help me be the fighter while still giving me knowledge.
Warrior gives you knowledge.
Warrior gives me knowledge? What, knowledge and what?
Knowledge and fighting.
Knowledge and fighting?
I think everybody gets knowledge. Everyone gets knowledge and one other thing.
Okay. I think I'm going to go warrior then instead. If that's
okay, we're going to be a pair of warriors.
Yep.
And
spellcasting
all this
in this
means
game isn't restricted to a class, so
yeah.
All this means is that I'm getting a little bit cheaper on the fighting, which that's going to be nice. I will go and start figuring out some math for that. as we move
Yeah,
forward.
you just get some more points on the fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that investing in that does. So then we are going to move on to the bulk of character creation, which is going to be the skills. So since I spent 45 out of my 300 and then got 50 points to spend specifically, I'm working with 305 points for my skills. Alice, what about you?
I am going to be working with 300 points for my skill. Oh, wait, no. I did 120 for my character stats, so I have 208.
230.
Yeah, 230 left. No, 120.
Right?
No, I 120 and I have 180 left, and that's before my 50, so that's 230.
That's the reason that I'm saying 230
Yeah,
is
sorry.
because no,
Very true.
we're doing the exact same thing, just coming up with different answers because we're answering different questions. The way that we have in the banner that's on the character sheet, the agility, care, entertainment, faith, fighting, knowledge, shadow arts, vintner, craft, and wilderness, we have one rank in each of those skills. Beneath them, there's the disciplines in bold, and then the specialties beneath that. Those, you have to have at least 4 points in the skill before you can start buying, and then go, that only lets you buy rank 1, and then you have to get higher to continue buying in it. Those are going to cost 7 points per rank. So rank 1 costs 7, rank 2 14, rank 3 21, and that's buying the previous ranks. So to buy a rank 3 would be 42 points that you have to spend.
And you can follow along with me and see that I've now put 1 temporarily in each of those categories for my character.
So since I'm looking at being a rough and tumble sort of fella, I'm looking at dropping a bulk of my points into fighting, which luckily I'm getting 50 bonus points for. Is that where the bulk of your points are going to, Alice?
I'm dropping 25 of that into the fighting, and then 15 is what I'm doing on the cost. I'm buying a fighting rank of 8 total.
Fighting rank of 8, doesn't that cost you 35 points?
35 points total, yes.
Okay, I thought you just said you were dropping 25 in it.
I'm dropping in my math. I'm dropping 25 into knowledge and 25 of my freebies into fighting, and then I'm paying out of pocket for the rest. It just works better for the statistical math of it all. It evened out.
Gotcha.
So yes. So let's go to fighting, and I'm going to put fighting up to 8.
I'm only going with a 7 fighting. When Alice and I were playing around with these concepts, I really looked at an 8 and tried to buy more, but I found out it gets too expensive to represent things. The points disappear quick.
Yes, they do.
What about armed fighting? Are you investing in that discipline?
Yes, I am. I'm going to be spending 15 points in armed fighting 2.
That doesn't make any sense to me mathematically.
First rank is 5 points for me because I get a -2 reduction for... Oh, I don't because
That's what I was telling you, is that it's not a reduction on points. It's just that you get those 50 bonus points to spend.
Because I don't get the same as I get in the knowledge and entertainment if I went Bard. Okay.
No. Bard has nothing to do with that. That's just your stat.
Okay.
So charisma is what's doing that. You still have that same reduction.
Oh, okay. Well, then like I said, I'm going to need to rework some points on the fly here versus my brainstorming. And so I'm going to go with 2 armed fighting. 2 armed fighting will cost me 21 points, and I'm going to go with 1 point in 2-handed fighting. And that 2-handed fighting is going to cost me 7 points. So in total, 28 plus 35 is 63. So that's going to cost me 63 total.
Awesome. So I went 7 up fighting. I bought 1 rank in armed fighting, and we're gonna once I describe what I've spent, let's get a little bit into how these numbers specifically, the fighting numbers, matter. I'm spending 2. I'm buying 2 points into heavy weapons, one-handed heavy weapons, and that's going to be for my left hand. If I want to dual 2-weapon fight, I need to up that skill for my left hand and then my right hand. Additionally, my offhand will take penalties because it's my offhand until I can spend a lot of points in agility skills to be able to compensate for that out. I'm also going to spend 2 points, or not 2 points, but buy 2 ranks of shield bearer that will allow me to use my shield to block things. Going down to the next discipline, there's battle experience. I'm going to grab 1 point in that. And then the subcategories between that, I'm going to buy 3 in armor bearer and 3 in fighter. And this armor bearer is going to allow me to use heavier and heavier armor the higher it goes. And so now I can use 6 load worth of armor. How heavy that is, I'll tell you, I'm not certain. But it sounds really good, and it wasn't cheap for me. So I'm hoping that is good armor, and the GM would be nice to me and give me something at least. And the 3 ranks in fighter are just going to increase my capability no matter how I'm fighting somebody. So addressing these points, let's use Alice's character. She has 8 ranks in fighting, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in a combat round, that 8 ranks in fighting is going to generate her a pool of 8 no matter what she is doing because she's in combat. It's useful for everything. She's going to spend that to move, to block, and to parry if she wants to do these things, as well as attacking. So then you had how many points in armed fighting?
Armed fighting, I have 2 ranks.
2?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to, as soon as she's got a weapon in her hands, she's going to get 2 more points into that pool. So she's gone from 8 to 10 pool. And then your 2-handed weapon, you only have 1, correct?
Correct.
All right, so if she's got that 2-hander that she's got her eye on, she's going to get 1 more point in that pool. So what she can do on her round, let's say it's her initiative, she rolled high and she gets to go first, she's going to say, well, I really want to hit. So I'm going to spend all 11 points in attack. I grab my d20, I throw it. If I come up 11 or lower, I have hit you. She could instead go, well, this is going to be more important as her numbers get higher, but I'm going to take 2 different attacks. And so using that same 11, let's split it into a 6 and a 5. And I'm going to throw 2 d20s and pray that I roll low enough on both of them because I need to generate 2 hits or else this thing's going to kill us. Mm-hmm. If you need to parry or block, which is what my shield is going to help me do, that helps. One thing I got wrong real quick, that 2-handed fighting is going to give you 2 pool points. Specialties give you 2, where the preceding things only give you 1, the skill or the disciplines. Other than that, that's pretty much the way that it works out. And that's going to be true on a lot of different aspects of the game. So where are you going after you hit your fighting up, Alice?
After I hit my fighting up, I am going to go to my knowledge. And because of my int being a 2, this means that I get a cost reduction for each rank, 2-point reduction in each rank that I'm buying in that. So I'm buying 7 ranks. So instead of 20...
Hold on. That reduction is on the disciplines and specialties.
Right,
only.
I'm sorry. I meant, okay. Yeah, because I'm paying 27 and for that, but for the cultural knowledge, I'm paying 15. And actually, I just realized I need to drop that to rank 6. Oh, I can't, because if I'm rank 6, I can't buy cultural knowledge up to 2, can I?
Correct.
Okay, so I need to keep that at 7. I'll fiddle with the points.
Now, we have a starting cultural knowledge that is tied to the race that we came from. It's the same reason that we get our mother tongue. And so if you're looking to buy a different cultural knowledge, you can do it that way.
So I don't need to worry about it right now because I was looking
No, we know a bit about our race. We speak our language. I saw it just a few minutes ago. All characters start with skill value 1 in all skills, and free levels in mother tongue and culture. See page 17. So what page am I on? I need to go back. So, all right. All characters start with some skills related to their own culture and language for free. Cultural knowledge discipline level 1, language discipline level 1, mother tongue specialty level 3 is what we have.
Okay. Well, let me look at that and actually go back. In fiddling with my points. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna buy armor bearer. I can. I have to buy battle experience before I can buy armor bearer, huh?
Correct. The discipline, you only have to buy level 1, and then your specialty can go as high as you want it to, limited by the skill. But the discipline is just opening the floodgate. Once it's open, you can get all the way to 5 without raising it.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I won't have the points for it because this will bring me to 299 at this point in my math
Well,
calculation.
if you brought your armed fighting down to 1 rank instead of the 2, that gives you 14 points, so you could buy 1 battle experience and 1 armor bearer if you wanted.
Okay, so that gave me 14 points back?
Yeah, and then you could invest 7 and 7.
Well, I have 278 at that point, so I have 22 points I can invest total. If I spend 1 and 1, that's 14.
So you've got 8 points left.
Yep, I've got 8 points left.
And 1 point does nothing during character creation. So
maybe I should take a second weapon because I have 8 points left and 1 point would do nothing. So maybe.
Or you can raise up, like what I did with some of my later points, is just kind of raised up the general skills of a few things.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know what your sheet looks like and what you've planned.
That's true. Well,
you want to just hold on to your 8?
Yeah, I'll hold on to my 8 right now. So back to entertainment then. Entertainment's flat out.
We were on knowledge, I thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna do knowledge instead. First.
That's what you picked.
I apologize. My knowledge is 7.
Woo! You are smart like you planned on it.
Yes, I did plan on it. So,
you are smarter than the average bear, and you're smarter than my dwarf.
Well, I should be smarter than a lot of people because I did try and basically be that very much smarter person. So, with a 7 knowledge, I have 2. That's going to cost me. That's going to cost me 27 points total. For learning, I'm going to put learning 2, which is going to cost me 15 because I get a 2-point reduction due to my int of 2 per level of it. So my learning.
So that's going to be 17, I thought, is the way that it worked. Because the first time you buy it, it's going to be 5. The second time you buy it, it's going to be 12.
Oh, you're right.
That's what I thought, and I might be wrong. Why don't you keep...
Yeah, based on what you were saying, I thought that it was basically per. So, but that's fine because I got the 8 points.
2 points less than usual. So it's not 2 points per rank or anything like that. So you get, like if you bought a discipline up to rank 5, you would have saved a total of 10 points per plus.
Okay. Well, I did buy 1 in knowledge. In knowledge I've got 1 language. 1 rank in language. And then in learning I've got 2. And then in insight I have 2. Oops, 2. And so my 2 ranks in learning and 2 ranks in insight cost me 17 points each. My language of 1 cost me 5. My mother tongue, you said I don't have to spend points in?
Yeah.
Okay, but we do have to spend points in reading and writing, right?
You do need, you need to spend at least 1 rank to read and write. And the mother tongue is at rank 3 naturally.
Okay, mother tongue is rank 3 naturally. Oops. What else do we get naturally for free? Oh, cultural knowledge.
We get 1 rank in our cultural knowledge.
Okay, 1. Okay.
And I think that's what it was.
Okay. Well, I did spend in reading and writing because, like I said, I'm smart. That's going to cost me only 5 points.
Cultural knowledge, the language discipline, and the mother tongue specialty. 1, 1, and 3.
Oh, so I got a free language discipline. So
Level 1.
Level 1. So I get 5 more points back. So, because I paid for that initially. So at that point...
Clearly I did not explain this well before we started podcasting. And I apologize. The rule book, it's not really horribly organized, but there are some
issues.
strange issues with it. Yes, and it is very obviously a translation. That some sentences just aren't the best.
Yep. So, at that point, my knowledge section should be correct. Let me double check. My knowledge is 7. My cultural knowledge is 1 for free. My language is 1 for free. My mother tongue is 3. I paid 5 points because I'm smart to reduce my reading and writing to cost me only 1, and that means I do read and write. I have a learning of 2 and an insight of 2. This allows me to learn more easily, and well, I'm able to figure stuff out more easily than most people.
Learning is that you take a subject and you know about it, and then insight is you take a specific subject and you know more about that.
Well, I will have to figure out what subjects those are when play begins and what the kind of setting is if I play this character. But this allows me to be knowledgeable.
And by all means, you came up with somebody that's, haven't played it. You sound like a good beat stick from the stuff that you put out, and you're smart.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's nice.
Awesome. Well, at that point, I am done with my knowledge section. Let's run to you.
So my knowledge section, I only bought up to a 4. Which is pretty cheap to buy up to a 4. It costs 9 points out of those, 350 total. And I've got the 1 cultural knowledge in Dwarf. I'm going to buy 1 more cultural knowledge, a separate one for the culture of humanity that I'm trading with. I know stuff about being out here. Then I'm going to buy customs and law for 1. I know a little bit about the law since I'm trading. That's going to be important, as well as respecting customs. I'm not good, but I'm young and I'm hot-headed. Language, I get the 1 for free. The mother tongue, I get 3 for free. I'm buying 1 point in foreign tongues so that I can communicate in the dominant human language in the area. I don't have the name of it right now, but I similarly to Alice bought reading and writing. I got to keep ledgers. And but unlike Alice, I did buy silver tongue, and this is not that everybody believes what you tell them, but it allows you to use formal and technical words in complex sentences. And so it does allow you to fabricate an untruth, but I'm more taking it because I figure if I'm needing to keep ledgers and such like that, as well as correspond where I might need to go as a trader, that's going to be a pretty useful skill to me. So that's mine. I didn't spend near the points investment that Alice did on knowledge, but that was separate from my concept.
So I'll know those words, I just won't use them because I appear dumb. But I'll know what those words mean when you use them.
Yep, I just realized something, that I'm overspent because I went with a neg1 int, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm 5 points short because I didn't calculate that my negative int would make those skills more expensive. I might change the negative int to like a negative psych or a negative perception or something like that.
Okie dokie.
But
so we've covered knowledge. I put 7 in entertainment earlier, but that was before I decided to make changes. But having those in entertainment still makes a bit of sense. So I'm going to put 7 in straight up entertainment, but nothing below that. And while we're doing those basic ones that don't have subs, I also bought 5 in agility with my leftover points, so that I was back at 300. So do you have any stragglers that are just the base skills that you bought, Brandon?
I spent 2 points, so rank 2 in entertainment, 2 in shadow arts for rank 2. Shadow arts is going to be your thieving skills, but it's also going to be noticing things. Finding and spotting is in there.
And then
I have, at that point, I've got agility, care, and wilderness left that I've got points, specialties, and disciplines in.
Cool. For me, I left this last bit for last because I know you're not going to be a spellcaster, but I will be. So, I bought 7 in Vintner. This allows me to buy 2 in Call of Vintner. This allows me at that point to buy 1 in Hultalja, the Path of Light and Purity, and therefore
Well, the important thing is Vintner. It's like collected in the ley lines,
Mhm.
and so certain ley lines. Well, the Vikings have been polluting, and so the ley lines, the magic that collects there, the Vintner, is corrupted, and so the 3 types of magic as the Watalja, you only take the purest, and so your ability to cast magic is diminished, that you can't do as much in a day. But if things go wrong with your spells, you suffer the least penalty. And then there's the person who takes some of the garbage energy, and then there's the person that doesn't really care what energy, but for them, their spell backfires are bad.
And for me, we did forget to cover Roud, or maybe I missed that. But Roud, I had rolled a 6 on my d6, and I have a +2 because I have a +2 charisma. Roud is like hero points in this game.
Yep, and I rolled a 5 on my d6, but my charisma is a 0, so I end up just with 5 Roud. If charisma, like Alice was just saying, modifies it by whatever that number is, 1, 2, or 4, whether positive or negative, or zip, like me. But if you have a neg 4, you get none. It doesn't matter if you roll a 6 on your die or a 5 on your die, you still have none. And so it kind of makes charisma an important stat, because this will help keep you alive at times.
And so with the fact that I have 7, and this should put me at 300 points. This is so 7 in Vintnercraft, 2 in the Call of Vintner, and 1 in Hualtalji, which means that I have a total of 10 points in my magical spell pool. Question is where I put that 10 points of magical spell pool. I believe it might be the second page. We'll see. What is it called, Brandon?
It's towards the bottom. You'll see Faith and Vintner crafted in the middle of the bottom.
Okay, so my divine points is is the 10?
No, that would be if you're Faith. This
Okay.
is going to be Vintner / divine points. So it's the same box, but it's just saying Vintner as well.
Okay. So 10 points. I have 10 points there. Bango, bango. Fantastic. And I'm going back to page 1 again. And we should probably do our movement.
Well, I'm not done with my skills.
Oh, I apologize. Please.
Also, I didn't hear, did you buy a tablet for your Vintner?
No.
Okay. So if you made that decision, you could theoretically cast, but you haven't learned any spells.
Well, which one is the tablet? Because it says Vintner Focus, Vintner Shaping. Which one do I need?
There's another one that's not here. Instead, it is recorded back here under tablets, but the tablets are ranked 1 to 5, just like everything else. And it was only when we were, just kind of looking at our characters and thinking about it that I found where that was on the sheet.
Okay, I no longer have agility. Delete. That gave me 14 points back. So
you could buy 2 tablets at level 1, which I think is kind of where you're going to be investing anyways.
Yep, so tablets. 2 at level 1.
So, scrolling to try and find the tablets. These are spell lists, and so by selecting, 1 in that, she'll gain both or all the first level spells, however many there are. And then if she ranks it up to 2, then she'd gain all the second level spells, etc. And she doesn't have to memorize or anything like that. She just burns her Vintner and casts spells. So the different Vintner tablets are the Animal, Body, Delusion, Dim Vintner, which is dealing with the undead, Flame, Perceiving, Thought, Vision, Soil, Vintnercraft, which is just the magic of magic, so Dispel magic and things like that are there, Objects, Water, Wind, and Witchcraft.
I went with Flame and Perceiving.
Flame and Perceiving. And so the Flame would give you a spell of Heat, Water, and Spark. Perceiving would give you Find Home and Retrace Tracks.
Heat, water, and spark, and what's perceiving give me?
Find home and retrace tracks. And so these are the magics that you have learned so far. You're fairly, still new at this. Alice and I talked about this a few times as we were looking at this. 350 points total that you get disappear.
Yes.
So.
Okay, I have.
So for me, I'm gonna blow 4, so that's 9 points, rank 4 in agility. And the reason that I want to go that high in it is because I want that horsemanship discipline as well as the specialty of driving a wagon. I don't want to be horrible at getting my wares around that I've gotten to train with horses and such. I took care at 4 as well, so that's another 9 points for that. And that got me tradesman as a discipline for 1 and trader as a specialty for 1. Once again, if this is my theoretical backstory, I'm basically a brawler, but, I got a day job. Not a bum. Like I already covered, I have entertainment of 2. The knowledge I covered, the shadow lore I've got of 2. And then if I'm supposed to be traveling around peddling wares and such like that as a theory, I figured going with a little bit of wilderness knowledge would be decent. And so I spent 4 into wilderness. I blew 1 into geography. I blew 1 into city and 1 into land, and that would be like a major city or something in the area, and then the general region that we're traveling. And also, since I have to get along in the wild for a while, I bought 1 in survival and 1 in camper, which allows, you camp, you can start fires without tinder, things like that. And that's me. I'm waiting for equipment. I'm hoping for heavy armor, a shield, an axe, and something to sell. The something to sell is really optional.
Well, I guess it'll depend on who's GMing for us, right?
That's right. They're like, you get a rock.
And then we'll have to find weapons to work with.
So that's character creation for Trudvang Chronicles. What do you think, Alice?
I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a lot of math, but it's very simple math. It's easy to get caught up and mixed up. So you really need to keep the accounting. And so that's why I wanted my little notepad where I was keeping each section, how many points I was spending, and therefore I could add it up and adjust more easily than trying to work straight from a character sheet. So this definitely is not one of those characters that you can just grab a character sheet, bang it out. You definitely need some scrap paper.
Yeah. I will agree by that. I'm 5 points overspent. What I'd probably do, looking at my stuff, is drop maybe the city knowledge or the camper more. But I think the city knowledge might be the best one. That I'm not awesome enough to travel in the big cities to cover things.
Did you ever find my mother
tongue? No.
Well, while you're finding that,
it's human. And then I've got 2 points left over, and so I'm just there's only 2 places I can sink 2 points. One is in faith, and the other is in Vintner. So I know a little bit about the Dwarven religion, I'm going to say, rather than knowing something about magic.
Cool. And for me, I think that this system seems interesting enough that I look forward to trying it. It's like you said, it's, a little complicated on the back end, but it's actually really straightforward and really easy once you have some understanding of it. I do agree with your statement that this is not the first game you want to bring somebody if they've never played a role-playing game. And from what I've heard about the way it plays, you definitely don't want this to be the first game that someone plays in a role-playing game. Not because necessarily it'll overwhelm them, but it will overwhelm you as well trying to teach them. Luckily, and you want someone who can deal with it in a little bit slightly hardcore sense. Luckily for me, I've played lots of games, so this was fun to pick up.
Yeah, I think that with a group of players who are willing to engage with rules, I think it's going to take 2 sessions to really get everything working pretty well. And as long as they're willing to apply themselves, I think on the 3rd session that things will go pretty well. In combat, so I mentioned how damage, for the heavier the weapon, the bigger the damage.
Mm-hmm.
But the smaller the weapon, the less damage that it can potentially do, because it will explode on lower dice, but it goes faster, so it gives you negative initiative modifiers less than the bigger and heavier weapons.
We did
So
forget
that's the
one thing.
benefit. Oh, what's
Because
that?
of my because of my
Movement and
strength.
such?
Well, we did forget about movement, and because of my strength, I'm going to get a +4 damage to whatever weapon or fighting style I end up using. That's something important, and I just have it noted on the side here above the damage. That way I remember the +4 strength for whatever weapon the GM ends up giving me. And yes, for movement, we do need to do that, which is for me, an aggro starts at a base of 12. I get a neg1 dex, and therefore I get a neg1 move. That leaves me at an 11 move for the system. Brandon, I believe a dwarf starts at an 8, and then you modify it based on your dex at that point. Am I correct?
Yeah, and
What is
so
your
for me,
dex?
my dex is zip. I was earlier when we were talking, I was looking at a 1, but points disappear too fast.
Yes, they do, because all this multiplication, and you're like, oh, it seems like you can buy stuff, and then all of a sudden you're like, 7, 21, 35, hut, hut, oh shoot, it's all gone.
It's true. It's funny because it's true.
Yep. Any final thoughts before I close this out?
The body, which is your hit points, is the other thing that your race actually affects. Alice, as an aggro, gets the most. She's actually the fastest and the highest hit point race that there is.
Go
And
power gaming, apparently. I had no idea this would be the case, but power game me.
well, there's also going to be a lot of social problems
I know.
because of it.
Well, like I said, I was
And
playing to that social problem idea.
so you get 38 body points to start with, and then you modify that by your strength and your con mods.
38, huh? So I have strength of 4 and a con of 1, so I have 43 body to start with.
There you go. For my type of dwarf, I'm at 30 to start with, and then I've got 2 and 2 for my stats, so I'm going to be up at a 34. It's cool. It's interesting. There is some complexity that groups that might be willing to play it might overlook. As you when you're shield, you block. If it takes so much damage, you have to make a tick. If it gets so many ticks, it's going to need repairing. Some groups are going to look over that. Some groups overlook arrows in Dungeons and Dragons. It's the exact same kind of technique. Just one other thing that you're tracking. As you take damage, your body is broken up into 4 different categories, divide evenly, and the more damage that you take, the bigger negatives that you start getting at. And so there is a death spiral. If that's not your thing, might not be the game that you're wanting to play. But I think that it's worth giving a shot to. I doubt that it would be the king of my fantasy games, but it excites me to see it in play.
I agree with you on that statement. That I doubt that it's going to end up my go-to fantasy game, but I definitely want to play it. To be honest, one of my top experiences in a fantasy game recently, somewhat recently, is actually Conan, and by Modifius Games, which this kind of, the kind of setting that you're talking about reads a lot like that, except this has maybe higher magic, depending on how it works. And so I'm interested to see how this stacks up to Conan from Modifius, or if I prefer that.
Awesome.
Well, thank you all for watching Babies with Knives. Please don't forget to subscribe, and have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye!
Adios.